A medical student saw a woman seizing on the roadside. He had 40 minutes to reach his licensing exam, 8 years of sacrifice on the line. He stopped anyway. What he didn't know, the woman's husband was a biker with a code of honor. And that one choice was about to drag him into a war between motorcycle clubs, threaten his entire future, and prove that sometimes saving one life costs everything. The motorcycle's engine cut out at exactly 6:47 a.m. Ryan Torres didn't notice at first. He was too busy running through dosage calculations in his head, his own bicycle wheels humming against the asphalt as he pedaled toward Mercy General Hospital. The National Medical Licensing exam started in 43 minutes. 43 minutes until everything he'd sacrificed for the past 8 years either paid off or crumbled to dust. His phone buzzed. Another text from his mother, "Mijo, you got this. Your father is watching from heaven, so proud." Ryan's throat tightened. He couldn't think about Dad right now. Couldn't think about the second job his mother worked to help with his loans, or his little sister Sophia postponing college so he could finish med school first. The weight of their sacrifices pressed against his chest harder than any textbook ever had. The coastal highway stretched ahead, empty except for the orange glow of sunrise bleeding across the Pacific. This route saved him 12 minutes, 12 minutes he needed because his alarm hadn't gone off, because of course it hadn't, because the universe apparently had a sick sense of humor. That's when he saw the motorcycle. It lay on its side near the cliff overlook, chrome catching the early light. 20 feet away, a woman in leather lay motionless on the gravel shoulder. Ryan's hands squeezed the brakes. "Keep going," a voice in his head urged. "You can't help her if you fail. Someone else will stop. You've got 41 minutes. But his bicycle was already skidding to a halt. He dropped it and ran. The woman was maybe 40, with short gray hair and a leather vest that read "Iron Fangs MC" across the back. Her body jerked violently, head snapping back. Seizure. Her lips were turning blue. "Ma'am? Ma'am, can you hear me?" Ryan dropped to his knees, years of clinical training overriding his panic. He checked his watch, 6:49. 39 minutes. Her airway was compromised, tongue blocking the passage. Ryan rolled her into the recovery position, supporting her head as the convulsions continued. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? I need an ambulance at the Highway 1 overlook, mile marker 34. Female, approximately 40 years old, active tonic-clonic seizure, lasting, he checked his watch, approximately 90 seconds so far. Airway is patent but she needs immediate transport. Ambulance is dispatched. Are you medical personnel? Medical student. I'm staying with her. He ended the call. The woman's seizures were slowing, but she wasn't regaining consciousness. Ryan pulled off his jacket and folded it under her head, monitoring her breathing. His phone screen showed 6:52. 36 minutes. You can still make it, the voice insisted. The paramedics are coming. You've done your part. But what if she seized again? What if she stopped breathing? He'd read about postictal aspiration. Brain damage from hypoxia. Death. Ryan stayed. At 6:58, a deep rumble shook the air. A massive Harley-Davidson roared around the bend, and Ryan's stomach dropped. The rider was enormous, 6'4" easily, with a black beard that merged into a leather vest identical to the woman's. The patches read "Bear" and "Road Captain." The man killed his engine and was off the bike before it fully stopped. Lila. Sir, stay calm, she had a seizure, but she's breathing. Bear shoved past him and dropped beside the woman, his massive hand surprisingly gentle as he touched her face. Baby, come on. Come on, Lila. The ambulance is 3 minutes out, Ryan said. She's postictal, that's the recovery phase after a seizure. She'll be confused when she wakes up, but that's normal. Bear's head snapped toward him. His eyes were wet. You a doctor? Medical student. How long you been here? Ryan glanced at his watch. 7:01, 27 minutes until his exam. About 12 minutes. 12, Bear's expression shifted, something dawning in his eyes. What the hell are you doing on this road at 7 in the morning? Before Ryan could answer, Lila moaned. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and confused. She tried to sit up. Easy, Ryan said, gently pressing her shoulder. You had a seizure. You're okay, but you need to stay still. Bear? Her voice was slurred. I'm here, Bear gripped her hand. I'm right here. Sirens wailed in the distance. Ryan checked her pulse, elevated but steady. Pupils reactive. She was going to be fine. His phone showed 7:04. 24 minutes. The ambulance screamed to a stop, and 2 paramedics jumped out. Ryan quickly briefed them, seizure onset, duration, her current status. They worked efficiently, loading Lila onto a gurney while Bear hovered anxiously. You riding with her? One paramedic asked Bear. Yeah, Bear turned to Ryan. Kid, what's your name? Ryan Torres. Ryan, Bear's voice cracked. Thank you. If you hadn't stopped. Anyone would have. No, Bear's eyes were fierce. They wouldn't have. What were you doing out here? Ryan felt something break inside him. He looked at his watch. 7:07, 21 minutes. The hospital was 30 minutes away, even if he flew. I had an exam, he heard himself say. My licensing exam. It started, he laughed, a bitter sound. It started 6 minutes ago. Bear's face went pale. Your licensing, you mean your medical? Yeah. Jesus Christ, kid, Bear grabbed his shoulder. Get on your bike. Go. Right now. It's too late. They won't let me in after the first 15 minutes. It's policy. The words hung in the air like smoke. 8 years. Student loans that would take decades to repay. His mother's double shifts. Sophia's postponed dreams. His father's last words, make us proud, Mijo. All of it, gone. Sir, we need to transport, the paramedic called. Bear didn't move. He stared at Ryan like he was memorizing his face. Where do you live? What? Where? Do you live? I don't. Why does that? Because you just saved my wife's life, and you don't understand what that means yet. Bear's grip tightened. But you will. Where? Ryan gave him the address, too tired to argue. Bear nodded once, then climbed into the ambulance. Before the doors closed, he pointed at Ryan. 24 hours, he said. You'll understand in 24 hours. The ambulance pulled away, sirens fading into the morning. Ryan stood alone on the empty highway, his bicycle lying in the gravel, the sun rising over the ocean like nothing had happened. His phone buzzed. A text from the exam coordinator, absence noted. Contact office Monday to discuss. Ryan sat down on the guardrail and put his head in his hands. He had no idea that by tomorrow morning, 99 motorcycles would be parked outside his apartment, or that his decision to stop would spark a chain of events that would nearly start a war. All he knew was that he'd made a choice. And there was no taking it back. Ryan spent the rest of Saturday in a fog. He'd pedaled home mechanically, ignoring the missed calls from his mother, from his study group, from his academic advisor Dr. Patel. What could he possibly say? Sorry, I threw away 8 years and $200,000 in debt to help a stranger seize on the side of the road. By evening, he'd composed 17 different emails to the exam board. He deleted every single one. His apartment, a cramped studio in the cheaper part of San Diego, felt like a cage. The textbooks stacked on every surface mocked him. Pharmacology. Pathophysiology. Clinical procedures. What good was any of it now? At 9 p.m., someone knocked on his door. Ryan froze. His apartment building didn't have a buzzer system. Whoever this was had walked straight in. Through the peephole, he saw a massive figure in leather. Bear. Ryan's hand trembled as he unlocked the door. How did you find you? Bear's voice was calmer than this morning, but his presence still filled the narrow hallway. You gave me your address, remember? I meant, how did you get into the building? Door was propped open. Bear shifted his weight. Behind him, Ryan spotted two more bikers waiting near the stairs. Can I come in? Won't take long. Every instinct screamed no. But Ryan stepped aside. Bear had to duck through the doorframe. Inside, he looked even more out of place, this mountain of leather and muscle surrounded by medical textbooks and ramen cups. His eyes swept the apartment, taking in the second-hand furniture, the unmade futon, the USMLE Step 2 study schedule taped to the wall with dates crossed off in red marker. How's your wife? Ryan asked. Lila's home. Neurologist says it was a breakthrough seizure. She's had epilepsy for years, but this was different. They adjusted her medication. Bear turned to face him. Doc said if she'd been alone for 5 more minutes, she could have died. Choked on her own tongue or hit her head on the rocks. I'm glad she's okay. Okay? Bear's laugh was sharp. Kid, she's alive. Because of you. He pulled something from his pocket, Ryan's jacket, folded neatly. You left this. Ryan took it. Thanks. I went to the hospital after Lila got settled, Bear continued. Asked around about medical licensing exams. Found out they only happen twice a year. Found out you can't reschedule without an approved emergency. Found out that helping someone doesn't count as approved. Ryan's throat tightened. It's fine. It's not fine. You sacrificed your entire future for my wife. I made a choice. That's on me. No, Bear's voice hardened. That's on the system that punished you for doing the right thing. And that's on me to fix. There's nothing to fix. The exam board reviewed my case. Well, they're reviewing it. Monday I have to meet with them. Probably to explain why I'm making up stories. Making up, they think you're lying. They think people fabricate emergencies to get retests. They said they'd investigate, contact the hospital, verify everything. Ryan slumped onto his futon. Even if they believe me, it doesn't matter. The rules are clear. No retests for Good Samaritan situations. Bear was quiet for a long moment. Then he moved to the window, looking down at the street where his motorcycle sat between 2 others. You know what the Iron Fangs are? Motorcycle club. We're 1%. Ryan's stomach dropped. 1%ers, outlaw motorcycle clubs. The phrase came from a claim that 99% of bikers were law-abiding citizens, leaving 1% who weren't. I'm telling you this, Bear continued, because I want you to understand what happens next. In my world, when someone saves your family, you owe them a blood debt. It's not symbolic. It's absolute. I don't want anything from you. I know. That's why you're getting it. Bear turned back to him. Tomorrow, I'm bringing you to the clubhouse. The whole chapter needs to meet you. That's really not. This isn't optional, Ryan. You entered our world the second you helped Lila. There's protocol. Honor codes. You saved a Fong's old lady, that makes you protected. For life. The weight of those words settled over the room like a thick blanket. Protected. By outlaws. I appreciate the gesture, Ryan said carefully, but I don't need protection. I need to figure out how to salvage my medical career. What if I could help with that? Unless your motorcycle club has a representative on the medical licensing board, I don't see how. Bear's expression was unreadable. We have influence in this city. People who owe us favors. People who know how to apply pressure. No, Ryan stood up. Absolutely not. I'm not having anyone intimidated on my behalf. Even if it means getting your exam back. Especially then. If I become a doctor, it's going to be because I earned it fairly, not because someone was threatened into giving me a second chance. Something flickered across Bear's face, surprise, maybe even respect. You really mean that? Yes. Bear studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. All right. No pressure, no favors. But you're still coming to the clubhouse tomorrow. 2 o'clock. It's not about helping you anymore, it's about the club acknowledging what you did. You refuse that, you disrespect every Fong who rides. Ryan wanted to argue, but something in Bear's tone stopped him. This wasn't a request or even a demand. It was something deeper, a cultural imperative he didn't fully understand but sensed he shouldn't ignore. 2 o'clock, he agreed quietly. Bear handed him a card with an address. Bring your phone, keep it charged. And Ryan? He paused at the door. In my world, people don't play fair. You wanted to do this the right way, I respect that. But the right way doesn't always win. After Bear left, Ryan sat in the darkness of his apartment, turning the card over in his hands. He had no idea that across town, in a bar frequented by the Black Vipers MC, someone was already asking questions about the medical student the Iron Fangs suddenly cared about. The storm was gathering. And Ryan Torres was standing right in its path. The Iron Fangs clubhouse looked like exactly the kind of place Ryan's mother had warned him about his entire life. It was a converted warehouse on the industrial edge of San Diego, surrounded by a chain-link fence topped with barbed wire. Motorcycles lined the front, dozens of them, gleaming chrome and custom paint jobs that probably cost more than Ryan's entire education. Above the steel door, a hand-painted sign showed a serpent wrapped around a skull, fangs dripping red. Ryan parked his beat-up Honda Civic between 2 Harleys and immediately felt ridiculous. Bear emerged from the entrance before Ryan could reconsider fleeing. You came. You made it sound non-optional. Smart kid. Bear clapped him on the shoulder hard enough to rattle his teeth. Come on. They're waiting. Inside, the warehouse was dimly lit and thick with cigarette smoke. A long bar dominated one wall, bottles of whiskey reflecting in a cracked mirror. Pool tables, worn leather couches, and walls covered in photographs, group rides, rally events, and memorial pictures of members with dates beneath them. And bikers. At least 80 of them, maybe more, all wearing the Iron Fangs colors. They stopped talking when Ryan entered. The silence was suffocating. Brothers, Bear's voice boomed. Sisters. This is Ryan Torres. A man separated from the crowd, older than Bear, with silver hair pulled into a ponytail and a scar running from his temple to his jaw. The patches on his vest read, Priest and President. So you're the med student. Priest's voice was gravelly, like he'd swallowed broken glass. He circled Ryan slowly. Bear told us what you did. Told us what it cost you. I just helped someone who needed it. Just helped. Priest laughed, but there was no humor in it. You hear that? He just helped. He turned to address the room. This kid threw away his entire future, 8 years of school, mountains of debt, everything, to save one of ours. No hesitation. Didn't know who she was, didn't know who we were. Didn't matter. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. You know what we call that? Priest continued. We call that honor. Real honor, not the bullshit people claim on social media. This, he pointed at Ryan, this is someone who acts when it counts. A woman with a shaved head and full-sleeve tattoos stepped forward. What about the exam? Can he retake it? Exam board meets with him tomorrow, Bear answered. But it's not looking good. That's garbage, someone shouted. He should sue their asses. He should let us pay them a visit, another voice called out, followed by aggressive agreements. No, Ryan said loudly. Every head turned toward him. No intimidation, no visits, no pressure. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I won't become a doctor through fear. The room erupted in arguments, some agreeing, others calling him naive, a few suggesting he didn't understand how the real world worked. Priest raised his hand. Instant silence. The kids got principles, Priest said. I respect that. But principles don't mean shit if the system crushes you for having them. He moved closer to Ryan. You know what we are? You know what 1% means? I know. Then you know we don't play by their rules. We have our own code. And our code says this: anyone who saves the life of a Fong's family is protected. Forever. No negotiation, no debate. It's blood law. I don't need protection. Kid, you're not hearing me. Priest's eyes were hard as flint. This isn't about what you need. This is about what we owe. Bear, bring out the oath. Bear walked to a locked cabinet behind the bar and returned with an old leather book, its pages yellowed and worn. He opened it to a section marked with a red ribbon. The Protection Oath, Bear announced. Written by our founders in 1967. Never broken, never questioned, he began to read. When blood is saved by courage unknown, when life is returned by hands that ask nothing in return, the debt is eternal. The protected becomes family. Their enemies become ours. Their battles become ours. Until death releases the bond. A chill ran down Ryan's spine. We don't take this lightly, Priest said. In 58 years, we've sworn this oath exactly 7 times. Your number 8-inch. He pulled out a leather patch, a small serpent with the words, protected by the fangs, embroidered beneath it. You don't have to wear our colors, but this patch means something. It means you're untouchable in this city. Anyone messes with you, they answer to 99 iron fangs. I can't accept that. You already did, Bear said quietly. The second you stayed with Lila. The second you chose her life over your exam. You're one of us now, whether you wear the patch or not. Priest extended his hand. The Iron Fangs don't forget debts, Ryan Torres. We don't abandon our own. And as of today, you're our own. Ryan looked around the room, at faces scarred by violence and hardened by years of living outside society's boundaries. These weren't good people by conventional standards. They were criminals, probably. Dangerous, certainly. But they were also looking at him with something he hadn't seen in the faces of his professors or the exam board: absolute, unwavering loyalty. He shook Priest's hand. The room exploded in cheers. Someone turned on music, heavy rock that shook the warehouse walls. Bikers surrounded Ryan, clapping his back, introducing themselves with road names: Hammer, Ghost, Wrench, Sylvie, Chains, Ace. Bear handed him a beer. Welcome to the family, kid. Ryan took a sip, his hand trembling slightly. What have I gotten myself into? No idea, Bear grinned. But it's gonna be one hell of a ride. Outside the warehouse, across the street in a beaten Toyota with tinted windows, a man with a black Viper's patch on his jacket lowered his camera. He'd gotten everything. The med student entering. The meeting inside, visible through the warehouse windows. The celebration. He pulled out his phone and dialed. Yeah, it's Cutter. You're gonna want to hear this. The Fangs just made someone protected. Some college kid. Torres, I think. Looks like he's important to them. A pause. Real important. The Mercy General Hospital Administration building felt colder than an operating room. Ryan sat outside Conference Room B, his leg bouncing nervously, watching the clock tick toward 9 a.m. Monday morning. Judgment Day. His phone buzzed, another text from his mother. She'd been calling all weekend, but he couldn't bring himself to tell her the truth yet. How do you explain to a woman who cleaned offices at night to pay for your textbooks that you'd thrown it all away? The door opened. Dr. Patricia Henshaw, Director of Medical Education, stood in the threshold. Mid-50s, gray hair pulled tight, expression carved from granite. Mr. Torres. Please come in. The conference room held 4 people, Dr. Henshaw, 2 other board members Ryan didn't recognize, and Dr. Patel, his advisor, who wouldn't meet his eyes. Sit down, Dr. Henshaw said. Ryan sat. The leather chair squeaked. Let's be direct, Dr. Henshaw began, opening a manila folder. You missed the National Medical Licensing Examination on Saturday, November 15th. Your stated reason was a medical emergency on Highway 1. Is that correct? Yes, ma'am. We've conducted our investigation. She pulled out papers. Paramedic logs confirm a 911 call from your number at 6:49 a.m. Hospital records show a Lila Nakamura was admitted with seizure activity at 7:23 a.m. The attending physician's report mentions a medical student providing roadside assistance. She looked up. So your emergency was real. Relief flooded through him. Then I can reschedule. No. The word landed like a hammer. The exam guidelines are explicit, Dr. Henshaw continued. Approved emergencies include personal medical crisis, death of immediate family, or subpoena for legal testimony. What you experienced, Mr. Torres, falls under the category of Voluntary Good Samaritan Act. It's not covered. Voluntary? Ryan's voice cracked. A woman was dying. A woman you had no prior obligation to assist. One of the other board members, a thin man with wire-rimmed glasses, spoke up. You're not yet a licensed physician. You had no legal duty to stop. She was having a seizure on the side of the road. And any passing driver could have called 911, Dr. Henshaw said. You chose to personally intervene, thereby assuming responsibility for missing the exam. That choice has consequences. Dr. Patel finally spoke, his voice heavy. Ryan, we understand your intentions were noble. Noble doesn't change policy, Dr. Henshaw interrupted. If we make exceptions for Good Samaritan cases, where does it end? What about students who stop to help accident victims? Or those who give CPR in shopping malls? We'd have constant rescheduling requests, each claiming moral high ground. So you're punishing me for saving someone's life. We're enforcing the regulations you agreed to when you registered for the exam. Dr. Henshaw closed the folder. Your next opportunity to test will be in 6 months, May 2026. Until then, you cannot practice medicine, cannot begin residency applications, and your student loan grace period will expire, requiring immediate repayment. The room tilted. 6 months. His loans were $3,200 monthly. His mother made $2,400. Sophia had already given up so much. There has to be another way, Ryan said desperately. An appeal process, something. There is no appeal for voluntary absences. Dr. Henshaw, Dr. Patel leaned forward. Given Ryan's exemplary academic record and the unique circumstances, his record is irrelevant to policy compliance. Maybe we could write a letter to the National Board, explaining. We won't be doing that. Something in her tone made Ryan's blood run cold. Why not? Dr. Henshaw exchanged glances with the other board members. There's another matter we need to address. It's come to our attention that you've formed associations with certain individuals. Associations? She pulled out her phone, swiped, then turned it toward him. The screen showed a photograph, Ryan standing outside the Iron Fangs clubhouse, shaking Priest's hand. Bear stood beside them, clearly visible in his colors. Ryan's stomach dropped. How did you? We received this anonymously this morning, along with several others. You appear to have joined a motorcycle gang. I didn't join anything. The woman I helped, her husband wanted to thank me. By inducting you into a criminal organization? The thin man leaned back, arms crossed. The Iron Fangs have been linked to drug trafficking, assault, and racketeering. I'm not involved in any of that. Your involvement is irrelevant to perception, Dr. Henshaw said coldly. This hospital has a reputation to maintain. We cannot have medical students, even unlicensed ones, affiliated with outlaw motorcycle clubs. It reflects on our institution. So what are you saying? We're saying that if these associations continue, we'll have no choice but to recommend your expulsion from the program entirely. The words hung in the air like poison gas. Dr. Patel looked horrified. Patricia, that's extreme. It's protective. The hospital board won't tolerate this kind of liability. Dr. Henshaw stood. Mr. Torres, you have two options. Sever all ties with the Iron Fangs immediately and wait 6 months to retest, or continue your friendships and forfeit your medical career entirely. You have 24 hours to decide. Ryan couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. One more thing, Dr. Henshaw added. Given the suspicious timing of these photographs and your convenient emergency, we're also investigating whether your entire story was fabricated as an excuse to join a criminal enterprise. If we find evidence of premeditation, we'll forward our findings to the state medical board. You'll never practice medicine anywhere. That's insane. 24 hours, Mr. Torres. She opened the door. I suggest you choose wisely. Ryan stumbled out of the conference room, his vision blurred. He made it to the parking garage before his knees gave out. He leaned against his car, gasping. They thought he'd staged it. Staged helping Lila to get in with the Fangs. It was absurd, impossible to prove, but the accusation alone could destroy him. And now he had to choose, his medical career or the people who'd sworn to protect him. His phone rang. Bear's name on the screen. Ryan stared at it, his thumb hovering over the answer button. Everything was falling apart. And he had no idea it was about to get so much worse. Ryan didn't answer Bear's call. He drove home in a daze, his mind replaying Dr. Henshaw's ultimatum on an endless loop. 24 hours to choose between everything he'd worked for and people he'd known for barely 48 hours. It wasn't even a choice. Except his hands were shaking so badly he had to pull over twice. By the time he reached his apartment, 3 more missed calls from Bear cluttered his phone. He ignored them all and collapsed on his futon, staring at the water-stained ceiling. His father's voice echoed in his memory, medicine isn't just a career, Mijo. It's a calling. You save lives because you can't do anything else. Dad had been a paramedic. Died responding to a freeway pileup when Ryan was 15. His last shift. His last patient. His last choice to help someone who needed it. The knock on his door was softer than Ryan expected. Through the peephole, Bear, alone this time, his expression grim. Ryan opened the door. I can't talk right now. Yeah, you can. Bear stepped inside without invitation. You've been dodging my calls for 3 hours. What happened at the hospital? They said no. No retest, no appeal, nothing. We figured that might happen. Priest has some ideas. They also said if I don't cut ties with the Iron Fangs, they'll expel me from medical school completely. The words came out flat, emotionless. Bear froze. What? Someone sent them photos. Me at your clubhouse. They think I'm in a criminal organization. Ryan laughed bitterly. They're investigating whether I faked the whole emergency to join your club. Like some kind of elaborate scheme. That's insane. That's what I said. Doesn't matter. I have 24 hours to choose, my medical career or you. Bear's jaw tightened. Who sent the photos? They came in anonymously. Bull Bear pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then cursed viciously. The Vipers. Has to be. They've been sniffing around, asking questions about you. The Black Vipers? Why would they care about me? Because we care about you. Because you're protected, which means you're leveraged. Bear paced the small apartment like a caged animal. They want to start something with us, and you're the perfect excuse. Make it look like we're recruiting civilians, bringing heat down on both clubs. Then this is my fault. I shouldn't have gone to the clubhouse. No, Bear stopped pacing. This is on them for playing dirty, and on your hospital for being spineless. He pulled out his phone again. I'm calling Priest. We can fix this. How? By threatening the hospital board? If necessary. No. Ryan stood up. That's exactly what they're accusing you of, being criminals. You threaten them, you prove them right, and I'm done anyway. So what's your plan? Walk away? Pretend you don't know us? Yes, the word tasted like ash. I have to. This isn't your fault, Bear, but I can't throw away 8 years and my family's sacrifices because we're bikers? Bear's voice was dangerously quiet. Because we're not good enough to be associated with a future doctor? That's not what I meant. Isn't it? Bear moved closer. You think we don't get it? You think we don't know how the world sees us? We're trash to people like your hospital board. Criminals. Thugs. Not worth the dirt on their expensive shoes. I don't think that. But you're willing to throw us away to make them happy. I'm trying to save my career. By abandoning people who die for you. Bear's voice rose. You know what that patch means? What that oath means? We swore to protect you. Not just from physical threats, from everything. That includes your career, your reputation, your future. You can't protect me from consequences I brought on myself. Watch us. The certainty in Bear's voice sent ice through Ryan's veins. What are you planning? Nothing illegal. Nothing violent. Bear's expression hardened. But the Iron Fangs have influence in this city. People owe us favors, including people on that hospital board. We can apply pressure. Legal pressure. Make them understand that screwing you over has consequences. No. Ryan. I said no. Ryan's voice cracked. Don't you understand? If I get my career back through intimidation, I'm no better than what they think you are. Every patient I treat, every life I save, it'll be tainted. Built on fear instead of merit. And if you don't get your career back at all? The question hung between them. Then at least I'll still be able to look at myself in the mirror, Ryan said quietly. Bear stared at him for a long moment. Something shifted in his expression, anger fading into something that looked almost like respect. You really mean that? You'd rather lose everything than compromise? Yes. You're either the most honorable person I've ever met or the dumbest. Bear shook his head. Probably both. I appreciate everything you've tried to do. Save it. I'm not done. Bear headed for the door, then paused. You want to do this the right way? Fine. But the right way takes time, and you don't have time. You've got student loans breathing down your neck, no medical license, and enemies you don't even know about yet. What enemies? The Vipers aren't done with you. They've already made their first move, those photos. They'll make more. And when they do, you'll wish you'd let us handle this our way. Bear opened the door. But I respect your choice. The Fangs will back off. You want to fight this battle alone, you've earned that right. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Bear's eyes were grave. The real world doesn't reward honor, kid. It chews up people like you and spits them out. Your hospital proved that. The Vipers are about to prove it again. I can handle it. Sure you can. Bear stepped into the hallway. But when you can't, when this all comes crashing down and you're drowning, we'll still be here. Because that oath wasn't conditional. You're protected whether you want to be or not. The door closed. Ryan stood alone in his apartment, surrounded by textbooks that might never matter again, holding a phone full of missed calls from a mother he'd have to disappoint. He'd made his choice. The righteous choice. The honorable choice. So why did it feel like he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life? Ryan spent Monday evening crafting an email to Dr. Henshaw confirming he would sever all ties with the Iron Fangs. He stared at the draft for 2 hours before deleting it. By Tuesday morning, he still hadn't sent anything. Instead, he forced himself into a routine: wake up, review pharmacology notes, apply to lab tech positions that didn't require a medical license, pretend his life wasn't imploding. At 11 a.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Torres? This is Detective Sarah Chen, SDPD Gang Unit. Ryan's blood turned to ice. Gang Unit? I'd like to ask you a few questions about your relationship with the Iron Fangs Motorcycle Club. Can you come down to the station? Am I in trouble? Not at all. This is purely informational. We've noticed some unusual activity, and your name came up. Should only take 30 minutes. Every instinct screamed lawyer, but lawyers cost money he didn't have. When? How about now? An hour later, Ryan sat in an interrogation room that the detective kept calling an interview room, as if the name changed what it was. Detective Chen was compact and professional, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She slid a photo across the table. Ryan at the clubhouse. That's you, correct? Yes. Can you explain your connection to the Iron Fangs? Ryan told the story: Lila's seizure, the missed exam, Bear's gratitude, the clubhouse meeting. He left out nothing, figuring honesty was his only play. Detective Chen took notes. And they made you protected? They used that word, yes. Do you understand what that means in their world? They explained it. Some kind of honor code. It's more than that. Chen leaned forward. Protected status makes you untouchable to other gangs. It also makes you a target. You're essentially announcing to every rival club that hurting you would start a war. I didn't ask for that. Doesn't matter. You have it now. She pulled out another photo, this one of a man with a shaved head and a black Viper's patch. Recognize him? No. That's Marcus Cutter Williams. Black Viper's intelligence officer. He's the one who took photos of you at the Fangs clubhouse. He's also the one who sent them to your hospital. Ryan's hands clenched. Why? Best guess? The Vipers want to provoke the Fangs. Territorial disputes, old grudges, could be anything. But you're caught in the middle. Chen's expression softened slightly. Mr. Torres, I believe you stumbled into this innocently. But innocent doesn't mean safe. The Vipers will keep pushing to see how far the Fangs will go to protect you. What should I do? Stay away from both clubs. Don't go to Fang territory, don't engage if approached. Let this blow over naturally. She stood. And if anyone from either club contacts you, call me immediately. She handed him a card. Ryan pocketed it numbly. The walk back to his car felt surreal. Gang territory. Targets. Wars. This was his life now, apparently. He was halfway home when he noticed the motorcycle behind him. Black and chrome, keeping pace 3 car lengths back. The rider wore a black helmet with a tinted visor. Ryan couldn't see the jacket, couldn't confirm it was a Viper, but his heart hammered anyway. He took a random turn. The motorcycle followed. Another turn. Still following. Ryan's hand sweated on the steering wheel. Detective Chen's card felt like it was burning a hole in his pocket. Call me immediately. But what would he say? A motorcycle is behind me? That wasn't a crime. He pulled into a busy shopping center parking lot, surrounded by cars and people. The motorcycle cruised past slowly, and Ryan caught a glimpse of the rider's jacket. Black Vipers. The bike circled once, the rider's helmet turning toward Ryan's car, then accelerated away. Ryan sat frozen, his breath coming in short gasps. They knew where he lived. Knew his car. Were they following him? Tracking him? What did they want? His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Tell Bear we said hello. Ryan's hands shook as he dialed Detective Chen. That was fast, she answered. A Vipers member just followed me. Sent me a message, he read it to her. Chen cursed softly. Where are you now? Hillcrest Shopping Center. Stay there. Stay in public. I'm sending a patrol car. 20 minutes later, a police cruiser arrived. The officers took a report, drove through the area looking for the motorcycle, long gone, and suggested Ryan file for a restraining order. Against who? Ryan asked. I don't know his name. Against the Black Vipers Motorcycle Club generally. Will that help? The officer's expression said everything his words didn't. Probably not. By the time Ryan got home, it was dark. He parked under a streetlight, checked the street 3 times, then sprinted to his building entrance. Inside his apartment, he locked both deadbolts and pushed his desk against the door. His phone rang. Bear. This time, Ryan answered. You okay? Bear's voice was tight. How did you know? Cutter's bike was spotted near your apartment. We've got people in the area, we saw him follow you. A pause. He send you a message? Tell Bear we said hello. Bear's silence was more frightening than any threat. Finally, they're escalating. Testing boundaries. The police said to stay away from both clubs. The police can't protect you. And you can? Ryan's voice cracked. By doing what? Starting a gang war over a medical student? If necessary. That's insane. That's the oath. Bear's tone was iron. Tomorrow, you're getting an escort. 3 of ours will shadow you everywhere you go. No. I told you, I'm doing this the right way. The Vipers don't care about your right way, they just made a move. We respond, or we look weak. This isn't about you anymore, Ryan. It's about the Fang's reputation. I didn't ask for this. You stopped for Lila. Everything after that is just consequences. Bear's voice softened slightly. Look, I get it. You want a normal life, a clean career, no complications. But that's not your reality anymore. The sooner you accept that, the safer you'll be. The line went dead. Ryan sat in his barricaded apartment, lights off, watching shadows move across his window. Detective Chen's card in one hand. Bear's number on his phone. 2 different kinds of protection. Neither of which he wanted. Both of which he might desperately need. Outside, a motorcycle engine rumbled past, slow, deliberate, menacing. Ryan didn't sleep that night. Wednesday morning, Ryan forced himself to keep a volunteer commitment at the Mercy Street Clinic, a free health center in one of San Diego's rougher neighborhoods. He'd been volunteering there for 3 years, taking vitals and doing intake interviews under the supervision of Dr. Margaret Reed, a 70-year-old physician who dedicated her life to serving the uninsured. If he couldn't take the licensing exam, at least he could still do something medical. He left his apartment at 8 a.m., hyper-aware of every car on the street, every motorcycle sound. Nothing suspicious. Maybe the Vipers had made their point. Maybe it was over. The clinic was in a converted storefront wedged between a laundromat and a pawn shop. Dr. Reed was already there, reviewing patient files. Ryan. Her face lit up. I heard about the exam. I'm so sorry, honey. Thanks, Dr. Reed. He couldn't handle sympathy right now. What do you need me to do? Vitals for everyone in the waiting room, then we've got 3 diabetes follow-ups. Ryan fell into the familiar rhythm: blood pressure, temperature, pulse ox. The work steadied him. This was why he'd chosen medicine. Not for prestige or money, but for moments like these: a grandmother with uncontrolled hypertension finally getting treatment, a construction worker learning his chest pain wasn't a heart attack, a kid getting his asthma inhaler refilled. By noon, the morning rush had cleared. Dr. Reed sent him to grab lunch from the taco truck around the corner. Back in 15, Ryan called. The alley shortcut to the taco truck was a mistake. He realized at the moment he was halfway through, a narrow passage between 2 buildings, dumpsters providing too many shadows. His instincts screamed to turn back, but the alley exit was closer than the entrance now. 2 men stepped out from behind a dumpster. Both wore black leather. Black Vipers patches clearly visible. Ryan's heart stopped. I don't want any trouble. No trouble, the bigger one said. His jacket nameplate read, Sledge. He was 6 feet of solid muscle with a nose that had been broken multiple times. Just a conversation. I have nothing to say to you. But we got something to say to you. The second man, thinner, with a spider web tattooed on his neck, moved to block Ryan's path to the street. You know a guy named Bear? I'm not involved in whatever's between your clubs. Yeah? That's weird, because Bear seems real interested in you. Sledge pulled out his phone, showed Ryan a photo. It was taken yesterday, Ryan entering his apartment building. Nice place you got. Ground floor, right? Windows don't look too secure. Terror flooded Ryan's veins. Are you threatening me? Threatening? Sledge laughed. Nah, man. Just making observations. Like, I observe you're real important to the Iron Fangs. Important enough they're watching you. Following you. That's interesting. I didn't ask them to. Don't matter what you asked. The thin one moved closer. Ryan caught the smell of cigarettes and motor oil. What matters is Bear broke protocol. Vipers and Fangs got an understanding: we stay in our lanes, they stay in theirs. But they made you protected, and you don't fit in any lane. That's a problem. So what do you want? We want you to deliver a message, Sledge said. Tell Bear that his protection doesn't mean shit outside Fang territory. Tell him if he wants to play games with civilians, there's consequences. He stepped closer until Ryan could see the scar tissue around his knuckles. Tell him we're not impressed. I'm not your messenger. No? Sledge's hand shot out, grabbing Ryan's shirt. Then maybe we back away from him. The voice came from the alley entrance. 3 Iron Fangs stood there, 2 men and a woman Ryan recognized from the clubhouse. The woman was Sylvie, Bear's lieutenant. The men were Chains and Ghost. Sledge released Ryan but didn't retreat. This is neutral ground, Sylvie. Neutral ground went out the window when you cornered him in an alley. Sylvie moved forward, her hand resting on something at her belt, a knife, Ryan realized with horror. You made your point. Now walk away. Or what? Or we have a problem right here, right now. The tension was suffocating. 5 gang members in a narrow alley, Ryan trapped in the middle, violence hanging in the air like gasoline fumes waiting for a spark. This ain't over, Sledge said finally. He pointed at Ryan. You tell Bear what I said. You're a pawn, kid. And pawns always get sacrificed. The vipers backed out of the alley slowly, never taking their eyes off the fangs. When they were gone, Ryan's legs nearly gave out. "You okay?" Chains asked. "What are you doing here?" "Bear's orders," Sylvie said. "We've been shadowing you since you left your apartment. Distant surveillance, you weren't supposed to notice. I didn't want this. Would you rather we let them grab you?" Sylvie's expression was hard. "Because that's where this was heading. They wanted to see if we'd respond, and we did. Now they know." "Know what?" "That you're not unprotected. That touching you means war." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling Bear." "Don't. It's already done, Ryan. The vipers made their move. We responded. This thing is escalating whether you like it or not." Ryan's hands shook. Ghost handed him a bottle of water. "Drink. You look like you're gonna pass out." "I can't do this," Ryan whispered. "I'm a medical student. I help people. I don't, this isn't my world." "It is now," Sylvie said, not unkindly. "The question is, are you gonna keep pretending it's not? Because that's how people get hurt." Her phone buzzed. She answered, "Yeah, Bear. We got a situation." Ryan listened to her explain what happened, his mind reeling. The vipers knew where he lived. They'd cornered him. Used him to send a message. And the fangs had been following him, protecting him without his knowledge or consent. He wasn't living his life anymore. He was a chess piece in someone else's game. When Sylvie hung up, her expression was grim. "Bear wants you at the clubhouse. Tonight. Both clubs need to understand the rules." "What rules?" "The ones we're about to make." Ryan thought about refusing. Thought about calling Detective Chen, getting police protection, maybe even leaving San Diego entirely. But Sledge's words echoed in his head, "Pawns always get sacrificed." Maybe it was time to stop being a pawn. "Fine," he said. "Tonight." The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and flowers. Lila sat propped up in bed, looking far healthier than when Ryan had last seen her convulsing on the roadside. Her short gray hair was neatly combed, and she wore a soft blue sweater over her hospital gown. Monitoring equipment beeped steadily beside her. "Ryan," her face brightened. "Bear said you were coming. Sit, please." Ryan had detoured to the hospital before heading to the clubhouse, needing to see her, to remind himself why any of this had started. He took the chair beside her bed. "How are you feeling?" "Neurologist says the new medication is working. No more seizures since Saturday." She studied his face. "But you don't look so good. What's happened?" "Everything spilled out. The exam board's rejection. The investigation. The vipers following him, cornering him. The impossible choice between his career and his safety." By the end, Ryan's voice was shaking. "I don't know what to do," he admitted. "Every choice I make is wrong. If I stay connected to the fangs, I lose my medical career. If I cut ties, the vipers might." He couldn't finish the sentence. Lila was quiet for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "Do you regret stopping to help me?" "What? No, of course not." "Then start there." She reached out, taking his hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Ryan, I've been in the biker world for 23 years. Married to Bear for 18. I've seen violence, seen people broken by this life. But I've also seen something most people never understand about clubs like the Iron Fangs." "What's that?" "Loyalty. Real loyalty, the kind that doesn't calculate cost or benefit. You saved my life without thinking about what it would cost you. That's the same kind of loyalty the Fangs live by." She squeezed his hand. "Bear told me you refused to let them pressure the hospital. That you'd rather lose everything than compromise your principles. Fat lot of good it did me. It did more than you know. You earned their respect, not their obedience, their respect. That's rare. Lila shifted in bed, wincing slightly. But here's what you need to understand, you can't control how other people react to your choices. You can only control what you do next. The Vipers are using me to start a war. No. The Vipers are testing boundaries because that's what they do. But you're not helpless in this. You have more power than you think. What power? I'm just some broke medical student caught between two gangs. You're the person both sides are focused on. That gives you leverage. Lila's eyes were intense. You want to stop being a pawn? Then stop acting like one. Make your own move. Like what? I don't know. But I do know this, you acted out of humanity when you saved me. Don't let fear or pride rob you of that humanity now. Whatever you decide, hospital board, the Fangs, the Vipers, make sure it's true to who you are. A nurse entered with medication. Ryan stood to leave. Ryan? Lila called. Thank you. Not just for saving my life, but for being the kind of person who would. We need more people like you. The word stayed with him during the drive to the Iron Fangs clubhouse. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. At least 30 Fangs filled the space, including Bear, Priest, and Sylvie. They were gathered around a table covered with a map of San Diego marked with territories. Ryan. Bear crossed the room quickly. You okay? Sylvie said. The Vipers. I'm fine. But we need to talk. Damn right we do. Priest gestured to the map. The Vipers made their play. Now we respond. We've got 3 options. No. Ryan's voice cut through the room. Conversation stopped. No more options. No more strategies. This ends now. Bear's eyebrows rose. Kid. I'm not a kid, and I'm not a pawn. Ryan moved to the table, looking at the map, territories divided by colored lines, Fang and Viper zones marked like battle formations. This whole thing started because I helped someone. That's it. No ulterior motives, no gang politics, just basic human decency. And somehow that turned into this. The Vipers made it into this, Sylvie said. Then let me unmake it. Ryan looked around the room. You all keep saying I'm protected, that I'm part of your family now. Fine. Then let me act like it. Let me handle this my way. Which is? Priest's tone was skeptical. I want to meet with the Vipers. Directly. The room erupted in objections. That's suicide. They'll use you as leverage. Absolutely not. Enough. Bear's voice silenced everyone. He stared at Ryan. You're serious. Completely. The Vipers are using me to get to you. So remove me from the equation. I'll meet with them, explain I'm not involved in club business, that I'm just a civilian who helped someone. Maybe they'll back off. And if they don't? Sylvie asked. If they grab you, hurt you, use you to make demands? Then that's on me. But at least I tried to end this without violence. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Ghost muttered. Maybe, Ryan said. But it's also the only thing that might work. You can't fight the Vipers without consequences. People will get hurt, maybe killed. Over what? Over me? I won't let that happen. Bear studied him for a long moment. You understand what you're asking? The Vipers aren't reasonable people. They don't respect peace offerings. Then I'll offer something else. What? Ryan thought about his father, the paramedic who died helping strangers. About Lila's words, act out of humanity. About why he'd wanted to become a doctor in the first place. Medical care. No questions asked, no payment required. I heard Sylvie mention one of their members got injured in a bike accident last month, compound fracture, no insurance. If they're willing to meet and hear me out, I'll treat him. And any other Viper who needs help. The room went silent. You'd help them? Chains looked incredulous. After they threatened you? I'd help anyone who needed it. That's what I do. Ryan turned to Priest. You said I earned your respect by acting with honor. Let me act with honor now. Set up the meeting. Priest exchanged a long look with Bear, some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, Priest nodded slowly. You've got guts, kid. Stupid guts, but guts. He pulled out his phone. I'll reach out to the Viper's president. Neutral ground, both sides present. You get one chance to make your case. That's all I need. Bear gripped Ryan's shoulder. You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the dumbest. Someone else said that to me recently. Yeah? What did you tell them? Probably both. Despite everything, Bear smiled. All right. We'll set it up. But Ryan? If this goes sideways. Then you were right about the real world not rewarding honor, Ryan finished quietly. But at least I'll know I tried. The neutral zone was an abandoned fairground on the outskirts of San Diego. Rusted carnival rides loomed in the darkness like skeletal giants. The Ferris wheel creaked in the wind, its empty seats swaying. Weeds pushed through cracked asphalt where families had once walked with cotton candy and prize stuffed animals. Now it hosted a different kind of gathering. The Iron Fangs arrived first, 20 bikes in a tight formation, headlights cutting through the dark. Bear led, with Priest beside him and Ryan sandwiched between Sylvie and Chains. They parked in a semicircle near the old ticket booth. Stay close, Bear told Ryan. Don't speak unless spoken to. And if I say run, you run. Clear. Clear. 10 minutes later, the Black Vipers arrived. Their formation was looser, more aggressive. 25 bikes, engines deliberately loud, circling the Fangs once before parking opposite them in a mirror formation. Ryan's heart hammered. This was real. Both gangs, facing off, because of him. From the Vipers emerged their president, a man in his 50s with long gray hair pulled into a braid and a face like weathered stone. His patches read, Prophet, Sledge, and the thin man from the alley flanked him. Prophet walked to the center of the no-man's land between the two groups. Priest and Bear met him there. After a moment's hesitation, Ryan followed. So this is the medical student causing all the fuss. Prophet's voice was rough from decades of cigarettes. Doesn't look like much. Looks can be deceiving, Priest said coolly. That a threat? A fact. Bear crossed his arms. You asked for this meeting. What do you want? What I want is to understand why the Iron Fangs are suddenly protecting civilians. Breaking protocol. Bringing outsiders into club business. Prophet's eyes fixed on Ryan. Tell me, kid, what makes you so special? Ryan forced himself to meet Prophet's gaze. Nothing. I'm not special. I just helped someone who needed it. Noble. Prophet's smile didn't reach his eyes. But nobility doesn't explain why Bear made you protected. That's a big move for just helping someone. It was his wife, Ryan said. She could have died. And that bought you lifetime protection? From one of the most dangerous MCs in Southern California? Prophet shook his head. Nah. There's more to this. Maybe you're an informant. Maybe you're being groomed to move product through hospital networks. Maybe. I'm a broke medical student who can't even take his licensing exam, Ryan interrupted, his frustration boiling over. I'm not an informant, I'm not moving drugs, I'm not part of anyone's criminal enterprise. I stopped to help a woman having a seizure, and that's it. That's the whole story. Then why are the Fangs so interested in you? Because that's their code, Ryan said. I don't agree with everything they do, but I understand that much. They pay their debts. Debts, Prophet laughed. And what about the Viper's debts? Your Fong friends put my rider Ghost Dog in the hospital last year. Fractured skull, broken ribs. Where was the code then? Ghost Dog ambushed 2 of our prospects, Bear snapped. That was retaliation, not. Doesn't matter. Prophet's voice rose. You escalated. You always escalate. And now you're dragging civilians into our world, making them protected, creating more complications. I didn't ask to be dragged into anything. Ryan stepped forward. Look, both of you, this is insane. You're grown men acting like this is some kind of turf war over me, and I'm just trying to live my life. I came here to offer a solution. Prophet's eyebrow arched. Solution? I'm a medical student. Not licensed yet, but I've got 8 years of training. I heard one of your members, Crank, I think, has a compound fracture that's not healing right. No insurance, can't go to a hospital. Ryan looked directly at Prophet. I'll treat him. Free. And anyone else in your club who needs medical help. No questions, no judgment, no payment. Silence stretched across the fairground. In exchange for what? Prophet asked suspiciously. In exchange for leaving me alone. Leave the Fangs alone. Let me be a civilian again. Ryan's voice was steady despite his racing heart. I'm not taking sides. I'll help Iron Fangs, I'll help Black Vipers, I'll help anyone who needs it. But I won't be used as an excuse for violence. Sledge moved forward. Boss, this is bullshit. He's trying to. An engine roared in the distance. Then another. And another. Everyone turned. Headlights appeared on the access road, multiple bikes approaching fast. You bring backup? Prophet demanded, his hand moving to his belt. No, Bear said, tension flooding his voice. That's not us. The bikes roared into the fairground, 10 of them, colors Ryan didn't recognize. They didn't park with either group but formed their own line, blocking the exit. The riders dismounted. Their patches showed a different club, Steel Legion MC. A massive biker stepped forward, easily as big as Bear. His president patch gleamed in the headlights. Prophet. Priest, his voice boomed across the fairground. Heard you two were meeting. Thought I'd crash the party. This doesn't concern the Legion, Hammer, Priest said carefully. Doesn't it? Word on the street is you two are about to start a war. Over some college kid. Hammer's eyes found Ryan. That him? No one answered. Here's the thing about wars, Hammer continued. They're messy. Territory gets disrupted. Business gets interrupted. The Legion has interests in this city, and we don't appreciate complications. We're handling it, Prophet said. Handling it by facing off with 20 bikes each in an abandoned fairground? Hammer laughed. This is powder keg stuff, boys. One spark and half of San Diego's MC community goes up in flames. What do you want, Hammer? Bear asked. I want you idiots to remember that there are more than 2 clubs in this city. You start a war, it affects all of us. So here's what's gonna happen. A gunshot cracked through the night. Everyone dove for cover. Ryan hit the ground hard, his ears ringing. More shots, from where? The old carousel? The ticket booth? Ambush, someone screamed. Chaos erupted. Bikers scattered, some drawing weapons, others rushing for their bikes. Ryan couldn't see who was shooting, couldn't tell which direction the bullets came from. Bear grabbed him, dragging him behind a concrete barrier. Stay down. What's happening? Someone just tried to kill us all. Bear's face was murderous. And I'm gonna find out who. But as sirens wailed in the distance, someone had called the cops, Ryan realized something terrifying. This wasn't about him anymore. This was about power, territory, and old grudges he didn't understand. And he was trapped right in the middle of it. The warehouse reeked of blood, motor oil, and fear. Ryan pressed a gauze pad against the wounded man's shoulder, applying pressure while checking his pulse. Weak but steady. The bullet had gone clean through, lucky, relatively speaking. "You're gonna be fine," Ryan said, his voice calmer than he felt. The bleeding slowing. "Fine?" The man, a viper named Crank, laughed bitterly. "I got shot at a peace meeting." They weren't at the fairground anymore. After the gunfire and the sirens, both clubs had scattered into the night. The cops found empty grounds and shell casings but no suspects. Now, at 3 a.m., Ryan found himself in an abandoned warehouse on the industrial waterfront, surrounded by Iron Fangs and Black Vipers who'd agreed to a temporary ceasefire. Because Crank wasn't the only casualty. Ghost, the Iron Fang who'd given Ryan water in the alley, lay on a makeshift table with a bullet wound in his thigh. Sylvie worked to control the bleeding while Bear paced like a caged animal. "We need a hospital," Sylvie said. "Can't," Prophet replied from across the warehouse. "Cops are looking for anyone with gunshot wounds. Hospital means questions, questions mean arrests. Then he bleeds out? Then your medic friend saves him." Prophet looked at Ryan. "You said you could help. Prove it." Ryan's hands trembled as he finished bandaging Crank and moved to Ghost's table. The bullet was still lodged in the muscle, he could feel it. This was beyond anything he'd done before, beyond his training level. "I'm not a surgeon," he said. Ghost needs you to pull that bullet out," Bear said quietly. "Because he's not going to a hospital. Can you do it or not?" Ryan looked at Ghost's pale face, his labored breathing. Without intervention, infection was guaranteed. With bad intervention, he could sever the femoral artery and Ghost would bleed out in minutes. "You wanted to be a doctor to help people," his father's voice echoed. "Sometimes help looks messy. I need supplies. Forceps, lidocaine, sutures, antibiotics." "I'll get them." Chains was already on his phone. "Doc Martinez owes us. She'll bring a kit, no questions." 20 minutes later, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes arrived with a medical bag. Dr. Sofia Martinez, Ryan recognized her from the free clinic. "Dr. Martinez?" "Ryan," she looked around the warehouse grimly. "So this is where you ended up." "Bear called me, said you needed help." "You know them?" "The Fangs protected my daughter from an abusive ex 3 years ago. When Bear calls, I answer." She opened the medical bag. "Now, let's save this man before you kill him with good intentions." Together, they worked. Dr. Martinez guided while Ryan's hands did what his training had prepared him for: local anesthetic, sterilization, careful extraction with forceps. The bullet came out clean. 23 sutures later, Ghost's breathing stabilized. "He'll live," Dr. Martinez announced. "Keep the wound clean, antibiotics twice daily, no riding for 2 weeks minimum." Across the warehouse, Crank sat up, his shoulder bandaged. "Yo, Doc," the medical student. "Thanks." Ryan nodded, exhausted. Prophet approached slowly. "You didn't have to help him." "Yes, I did." "Why?" "We threatened you. Followed you. Used you." "Because he was hurt and I could help." Ryan met Prophet's eyes. "That's what I do. That's all I've ever wanted to do." Something shifted in Prophet's expression. He turned to Priest and Bear. "We need to talk. All of us." The 3 presidents moved to a corner. Their conversation was heated but quiet. Finally, they returned. "The Steel Legion set us up," Priest said. "Hammer wanted us fighting so he could move in on our territories. The ambush was meant to start a war. Did it work? Ryan asked. No, Prophet extended his hand to Bear. Because the Iron Fangs aren't our real enemy. Haven't been for a while. We've just been too stubborn to admit it. Bear shook his hand. Truce? Truce. And the kid, Prophet turned to Ryan, stays neutral. No more threats, no more following him, no more using him for leverage. He helps who he wants, when he wants. Both clubs respect that. Agreed, Priest said. Ryan felt a weight lift from his chest. So this is over? The club part is over, Bear said. But you've still got problems. Your exam, your career. I'll figure it out. Maybe you won't have to. Dr. Martinez closed her medical bag. What you did tonight, treating gunshot wounds under pressure with limited resources, that's more impressive than any standardized test. I know people on the medical board. Let me make some calls. Dr. Martinez, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. Because you just saved 2 lives without hesitation, despite everything you've been through, she smiled. That's the kind of doctor we need. Let me help. After everyone left, Ryan sat alone in the warehouse for a moment, processing everything. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You did good tonight, kid. Both clubs are talking instead of fighting. That's rare. Prophet. Another text, this one from Bear, told you that you were special. Now do you believe me? Ryan laughed, a tired, slightly hysterical sound. He'd stopped a gang war with gauze and sutures. His father would have been proud. Or horrified. Possibly both. As dawn light crept through the warehouse windows, Ryan's phone rang. Dr. Martinez. Turn on the news, she said. Channel 8. Ryan pulled up the channel on his phone. A news anchor sat at a desk, a photo of the fairground behind her. Dramatic shootout last night at an abandoned fairground, where police believe multiple motorcycle clubs were meeting. No casualties were reported, but sources say the incident could have been much worse. In related news, a local hero story is going viral. Lila Nakamura, whose life was saved by medical student Ryan Torres last Saturday, has posted her story online. The post has been shared over 50,000 times, with many questioning why Torres was denied the chance to retake his medical licensing exam. Ryan stared at the screen as footage rolled, Lila, sitting in her hospital bed, telling their story. Bear beside her, adding details. Comments flooding in from doctors, nurses, and citizens demanding the medical board reconsider. It's already started, Dr. Martinez said. Public pressure works wonders. Check your email. Ryan opened his email. A message from Dr. Henshaw, sent at 6:47 a.m. Mr. Torres, in light of recent public attention and after reviewing your case more thoroughly, the board would like to discuss alternative arrangements. Please call my office at your earliest convenience. Ryan sat in the empty warehouse, watching the sunrise, and started to cry. The video had 17 million views by Thursday afternoon. Ryan watched it again on his phone, still unable to believe it was real. Lila sat in her living room, Bear's arm around her shoulders, speaking directly to the camera with quiet intensity. My name is Lila Nakamura, and I'm alive because a stranger chose compassion over his career. Ryan Torres didn't know me. Didn't know my husband. He just saw someone who needed help, and he stopped. While I was seizing on that roadside, he could have kept writing to his exam, the test he'd spent 8 years preparing for. But he stayed. He saved my life. And then the medical establishment punished him for it. Her voice cracked. Bear squeezed her shoulder. They say he made a choice, Lila continued. They say personal emergencies don't qualify for rescheduling. But what kind of medical system penalizes future doctors for acting like doctors? What kind of institution tells students that saving lives comes second to policy? The comments section was on fire. This is insane. Give him the exam. My daughter is in med school. If they punished her for saving someone, I'd lose it. The hospital board should be ashamed. Dr. Henshaw needs to resign. This is cruel. Local news had picked it up Tuesday. By Wednesday, national outlets were running it. By Thursday morning, Ryan's phone wouldn't stop ringing. CNN wanted an interview. The Today Show. Good Morning America. His inbox overflowed with messages from doctors offering support, lawyers offering representation, and total strangers offering donations for his student loans. He ignored most of them. But he couldn't ignore Dr. Henshaw's call. Mr. Torres, her voice was tight, professional, but Ryan detected strain underneath. I'm sure you've seen the media attention. I didn't ask for it. Nevertheless, it's created a situation the board must address. The hospital has received over 4,000 complaints in the last 48 hours. Our social media is flooded with negative comments. The dean has received calls from donors threatening to withdraw funding. Ryan said nothing. After careful reconsideration, Dr. Henshaw continued, each word seemingly extracted with pliers, the board has decided to grant you a special retest. One-time accommodation, given the extraordinary circumstances. Ryan's breath caught. When? Monday, November 24th, same location, same conditions. You'll take the exam alone in a proctored room. A pause. This is highly irregular, Mr. Torres. We're making an exception because the public pressure has become untenable, but understand, this doesn't change our policies moving forward. I understand. There's one more thing. Her tone shifted, became even more uncomfortable. The investigation into your association with the Iron Fangs Motorcycle Club has been closed. We've determined there was no evidence of impropriety or fabrication on your part. What changed your mind? Multiple witnesses corroborated your story, including Dr. Sofia Martinez, who spoke very highly of your character and medical skills. Additionally, the public scrutiny made continuing the investigation politically inadvisable. She exhaled slowly. You were right, Mr. Torres. About all of it. And for what it's worth, I apologize for doubting you. The apology sounded genuine. Ryan felt something unclench in his chest. Thank you, Dr. Henshaw. Don't thank me. Thank the thousands of people who wouldn't let this go. She paused. Good luck on Monday. I mean that sincerely. After she hung up, Ryan sat motionless in his apartment, staring at the email confirming his exam date. Monday. 5 days away. He had 5 days to prepare for the test that would determine his entire future. His phone rang again. Bear. You see the news? Bear's voice was jubilant. I see it. Kid, you're famous. They're calling you the highway hero. Lila's video is everywhere. Everyone's on your side. I never wanted to be famous. Too bad. Sometimes the right thing comes with attention. Bear's tone softened. But seriously, you got your exam back. That's huge. We're proud of you. I haven't passed it yet. You will. And when you do, the Fangs are throwing you the biggest party San Diego's ever seen. Despite everything, Ryan smiled. I'll hold you to that. The next 4 days blurred together. Ryan studied like his life depended on it, because it did. Pharmacology, pathophysiology, clinical procedures. His apartment became a fortress of textbooks and practice questions. But the studying was different now. Before, it had felt desperate, like he was drowning and the exam was air. Now it felt purposeful. He wasn't just memorizing facts, he was preparing to help people. Like Lila. Like Ghost and Crank. Like the hundreds of patients he'd meet throughout his career. Saturday night, his mother finally called. He'd been avoiding her, unable to face her disappointment. "Mijo," she said when he answered. "I saw the video. I saw everything. Mom, I'm sorry I didn't tell you." "Sorry?" Her voice broke. "Ryan, I've never been more proud of you in my entire life. Your father would be. He would be so proud." Ryan's eyes burned. "I might have thrown everything away. You saved someone's life. That's not throwing anything away, that's becoming exactly the doctor you're meant to be," she sniffed. "Your exam is Monday?" "Yes." "Then you study. You do your best. And you remember why you wanted this in the first place, not for money, not for prestige, but because you have your father's heart. You help people because you can't do anything else." After they hung up, Ryan looked at the photo on his desk, him and his father in paramedic uniforms from career day, when Ryan was 12. His dad's arm around his shoulders, both of them grinning. You save lives because you can't do anything else. Sunday evening, Ryan tried to sleep but couldn't. His mind raced through practice questions, drug interactions, diagnostic criteria. At 2 a.m., he gave up and made coffee. A text came through. "Bear, get some sleep, kid. You've got this." Another from Priest, "The whole club is rooting for you." One from Sylvie, "Show them what you're made of." Even one from Prophet, "Good luck, Doc. You earned this." And finally, "Lila, you saved my life. Now go save your future. We're all behind you." Ryan looked at the messages, at the outpouring of support from people who barely knew him, and felt something shift. He wasn't alone in this. He'd never been alone. Monday morning arrived cold and clear. Ryan dressed carefully, gathered his ID and admission papers, and stepped outside. Then he stopped. His entire street was lined with motorcycles. Iron Fangs on the left side, Black Vipers on the right. 99 bikes in total, engines rumbling in perfect synchronization. Every rider standing at attention beside their bike, colors proudly displayed. Bear stood at the front, Priest beside him. Prophet was there too, arms crossed, a slight smile on his face. Ryan walked forward, speechless. "Morning," Bear said. "Thought you might want an escort to your exam." "Both clubs?" "Both clubs," Prophet confirmed. "You brought us together. Least we can do is see you through." Ryan looked at the sea of leather and chrome, at the rival gang standing united for the first time in years. For him. "Let's ride," Priest said. The convoy moved through San Diego like a river of thunder and chrome. 99 motorcycles rolled in perfect formation, Iron Fangs on the left, Black Vipers on the right, with Ryan's beat-up Honda Civic sandwiched in the middle like a treasure being protected. Bear led the Fangs, Prophet led the Vipers, and somehow, impossibly, they rode together. Traffic pulled over. People on sidewalks stopped to stare, pulling out phones to record. By the time they reached downtown, a police escort had joined them, not to stop them, but to clear intersections. Even the cops seemed to understand this was something bigger than club politics. This was honor. Ryan's hands gripped the steering wheel, his eyes burning with unshed tears. In his rearview mirror, the procession stretched for blocks. These weren't just bikers anymore. They were family, his family, whether he'd asked for it or not. His phone buzzed. A text from Sophia, his sister, "You're trending on Twitter. #HighwayHero. The video of your escort has 2 million views already. Go kill that exam, hermano." They arrived at Mercy General Hospital at 7:30 a.m., 30 minutes before the exam started. The motorcycles filled the parking structure, the sound of 99 engines echoing like war drums. When they shut off simultaneously, the silence was deafening. Ryan stepped out of his car. Bear approached, Priest and Prophet flanking him. "You ready?" Bear asked. As ready as I'll ever be. You saved my wife, Bear said, his voice thick with emotion. You stopped a war. You treated people who threatened you. You did all of that with nothing but courage and principle. He gripped Ryan's shoulder. This exam? This is nothing compared to what you've already survived. Priest handed Ryan something, a small leather patch, the same, protected by the fangs, insignia he'd been offered at the clubhouse. You never took this. Take it now. Not because you need our protection anymore, but because you earned our respect. Both clubs, Prophet added, pulling out a second patch, a black viper's emblem modified with a medical cross. Your neutral ground, Torres. The only civilian both our clubs will ever agree on. That's rare as hell. Ryan took both patches, his throat too tight to speak. Go pass that exam, Bear said. We'll be here when you're done. The hospital lobby was packed with media. Cameras swiveled toward Ryan the moment he entered. Reporters shouted questions. Ryan, how do you feel about the board's decision? Is it true you stopped a gang war? What would you say to other medical students facing similar situations? Ryan paused, looking at the cameras. A week ago, he would have hidden. But that was before he'd learned what real courage looked like. I'd say do the right thing, he said clearly. Even when it costs you everything. Especially then. Because that's when it matters most. He walked to the elevator, leaving the reporters behind. Conference Room B had been converted into a testing center. Dr. Henshaw waited outside, her expression softer than he'd ever seen it. Mr. Torres, she extended her hand. Good luck. He shook it. Thank you for the second chance. Thank the public. Thank yourself. You showed us what we'd forgotten, that medicine is about more than protocols and policies. It's about humanity. She opened the door. Your proctor is inside. You have 4 hours. Make them count. The exam was brutal. 4 hours of clinical scenarios, diagnostic reasoning, and ethical dilemmas. Ryan's hand cramped from writing. His brain felt like it was melting. But every time he wavered, he thought about Lila on that roadside. About Ghost and Crank bleeding in the warehouse. About his father saying, you save lives because you can't do anything else. Question 287, a patient presents with tonic-clonic seizures. What is your immediate priority? Ryan smiled grimly and wrote, airway, breathing, circulation. Protect the patient from injury. Stay with them. Always stay. At 11:47 a.m., he answered the final question and set down his pencil. Done. The proctor collected his materials. Results will be available in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 14 more days of uncertainty. But somehow, Ryan felt calm. He'd done his best. Whatever happened next, he could live with it. He emerged from the conference room to find Dr. Martinez waiting in the hallway. Dr. Martinez? What are you doing here? Making sure you survived, she smiled. Also, I spoke with the residency director at County General. They're very interested in you for their emergency medicine program, pending your exam results, of course. Apparently, treating gunshot wounds in a warehouse counts as unique clinical experience. Ryan laughed, slightly hysterical. Is that what we're calling it? That's what I'm calling it. You've got skills most residents don't develop until their second year. Use them, she squeezed his arm. You're going to be an excellent doctor, Ryan. The kind who actually gives a damn. Outside, the motorcycles still filled the parking structure. All 99 riders stood at attention, waiting. When Ryan appeared, they erupted in cheers, revving engines, and shouted congratulations. Bear pulled him into a crushing hug. How'd it go? I don't know. But I finished. That's all anyone can ask. Bear stepped back, addressing both clubs. Brothers. Sisters. Our boy finished his exam. You know what that means. Party, someone yelled. The ride back was even louder than the ride there. Motorcycles filled every lane of the freeway, celebrating like they'd just won a war, which, in a way, they had. Not with violence, but with unity. At the Iron Fangs clubhouse, both clubs mingled for the first time in years. Fangs and Vipers drinking together, sharing stories, laughing. Barriers dissolved. Old grudges, if not forgotten, at least set aside. Lila approached Ryan, her eyes bright. You did it. I just took a test. No, she gestured around the room, at former enemies now talking like old friends. You did this. You reminded everyone what matters. Not territory or pride or revenge, but people. Connection. Humanity. Bear raised a beer. To Ryan Torres, the medical student who stopped to help a stranger and accidentally changed everything. The room roared approval. Ryan looked around at the faces, Bear and Lila, priest and prophet, Sylvie and Crank, ghost limping but alive, Dr. Martinez smiling in the corner. These people, this strange, impossible family he'd found by simply doing what was right. His phone buzzed. His mother, so proud, Mijo. Your father is watching. He's smiling. 2 weeks later, the email arrived. Congratulations. You have successfully passed the National Medical Licensing Examination. Ryan sat in his apartment, staring at the screen, tears streaming down his face. He'd done it. Against every odd, despite every obstacle, he'd actually done it. The patches, Iron Fangs and Black Vipers, lay on his desk. He'd frame them someday, a reminder of the week his life exploded and rebuilt itself into something he'd never expected. His phone rang. Bear. You passed, didn't you? I can hear it in your breathing. Ryan laughed through his tears. Yeah. I passed. Then get to the clubhouse. We've got 99 bikers ready to celebrate the newest doctor in San Diego. I'm not a doctor yet. I still need residency. Details. You're our doctor. Now get your ass over here before we come get you. Ryan drove to the clubhouse one last time, not as a confused medical student caught in something he didn't understand, but as someone who'd found his place in the world, not despite his choices, but because of them. The party lasted until dawn. When Ryan finally left, the sun rising over the Pacific, Bear walked him to his car. You know you changed us, right? Bear said quietly. Fangs and Vipers haven't been friendly in 15 years. That's on you. I just helped someone. Yeah. And that's exactly why it mattered. Bear pulled him into one final hug. Your family, Ryan. Always. Doctor or not, rich or poor, doesn't matter. You're one of us. Ryan drove home as the city woke around him. He thought about his father, about the choice he'd made on that highway overlook, about everything that had followed. He'd lost time. Lost money. Nearly lost his career. But he'd gained something infinitely more valuable, the absolute certainty that when it mattered most, when someone needed help and helping would cost him everything, he would always stop. Because that's what doctors do. That's what good people do. And Ryan Torres was both. 3 years later, Dr. Ryan Torres, emergency medicine resident at County General, would treat his 10,000th patient. But he would never forget his first real case, a woman named Lila, seizing on a roadside, and the impossible family that came from choosing to help her. The patches still hung in his office, right next to his medical degree. A reminder that sometimes the right choice is the hardest one. And sometimes, the hardest choice changes everything. The end.